Welcome back to Red and Blue. I'm Caitlin Huey-Burns. Tens of thousands of migrants are waiting at the southern border for a pandemic-era policy to end. Title 42, which allows border officials to expel migrants on public health grounds, was supposed to expire yesterday. But the Supreme Court temporarily halted the repeal of the policy. The Biden administration wants the court to end those restrictions after Christmas. For more on this, Democratic Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee joins us now. She is a member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration and Citizenship. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. So we have these cold weather conditions making it so much more dangerous for migrants at the southern border. What moves can Congress make at this point to help alleviate this situation?
Well, thank you very much for having me. And the first thing I'd like to say is this is a democracy. The United States of America believes in democratic processes, democratic engagement. And after hearing from the president of Ukraine, we now know how important it is to fight for our democracy. And that means that we have to address the human needs in a humane way. This country has been known as a place of refuge for those who are fleeing persecution. All of us are engaging with the Department of Homeland Security and Secretary Mayorkas to find a way to solve the crisis of people coming without ceasing. When people flee persecution, they're not going to stop. So there's several things. One, I think we should move quickly and this can be done by the executive, to set up processing facilities in the home countries for those filing for asylum. Secondarily, there should be a massive amount of humane resources at the border, from housing, temporary, from processing agents and officers, from being able to feed and clothe these individuals, and determine at the border quickly those who have to return because they're not eligible, and those who may be eligible on a number of bases: family reunification, asylum credibility, and etc. So action is what we need, but we have to do it in the backdrop of who we are. And we are citizens of a democratic country.
With that understood, the ending of Title 42 has long been in the works. This isn't something, this isn't a problem that just came about. Is this an issue of the administration not being prepared? Is it about funding? Is it about resources? What could have been done differently? What should have been done differently?
Well, I don't know if we can reach the conclusion that the administration is not prepared, because we are just seeing what may be coming in these coming months. First of all, we know that you are facing a crisis when people are not afraid or do not hesitate by any of the dangers of the travel to not come. So it doesn't matter what we might have done or what we might have said. They were going to come, and they were going to be on the other side of the border, the Mexican side of the border. They're just waiting to see whether or not there's a Title 42 or not. How do you stop them from even coming to the southern border on the side of Mexico or the United States? So that's what I think the administration has been keenly trying to address. I do think that they have pushed resources on the U.S. side of the border to be able to respond to CBP and Border Patrol that have been making the plea that they need resources. I have indicated that we need to have a massive humane operation right there on the border so that families can be taken care of and processed. If you process people, they can legally, and I say legally, with status, with papers, be reunited with a relative. They may have that basis of being able to come in, but you cannot have them in a way that they're not quickly processed so that you have the determination, do they go back because they're not eligible, or do they go under a certain status, or are they applicants, legitimate applicants for asylum? That can be done. We have enough technology to do it. We need resources to fund both technology and personnel, and we need some agreements with some of the countries where they're fleeing. Venezuela, for example, might be rather difficult. We have a large number of people fleeing Venezuela, to be able to have these individuals either file for asylum in Venezuela or the next country that they come to.
And, Title 42 is now, the fate of it is now up to the courts. Do you think that it should just continue to be extended until the administration can deal with it? Do you have a feeling that the administration may not want it to end, essentially?
Here's the problem with Title 42. It never was a humane response to a crisis of people coming across the border, whether it was health issues that they said that they were protecting American people, or whether or not they used it as a convenient way of blocking. I understand border states are frustrated and overwhelmed, from California to Texas. I want them to be relieved. There are cities that are overwhelmed. There's a difference between the governor of the state of Texas and the mayor of El Paso, both facing a crisis. The mayor of El Paso at least exerting a certain amount of humanity, even though he declared a national emergency, if you will. He has a lot of resources that are helping that city. More resources can go. So I think that what problem we have is Title 42 is never meant to be an immigration response. Let's have an immigration response. Let's have people file for asylum in their home countries or countries nearby. Let's have a massive amount of resources to determine at the border whether you're eligible for asylum or that you can be returned. Give some relief to cities and states that are on the border because they are not responsible for immigration issues. It is the federal government's responsibility.
To that end, in the 60 seconds that we have left, so just very quickly, Congresswoman, you are heading into a divided Congress next term. Is there any chance of any sort of consensus on anything related to immigration?
Remember, I said we live in a democracy. This is a democratic nation. The question will be whether the majority in the House will be more interested in helping the American people. We Democrats will stand ready with them to do immigration reform. I've filed comprehensive immigration reform almost every year since I've been here. It will be up to the Republicans whether they will fight, whether they will investigate, whether they will antagonize, or whether they will help the American people. They will have to be the assessors of what their legacy will be. Creating confusion or trying to solve a long-standing immigration problem and file and pass comprehensive immigration reform. And the Senate must act more quickly than it ever acts to do that and get that bill to the president's desk. We can do it, but we must do it cooperatively, and we must do it humanely and safely for the American people. Yes, we must do it to secure the borders, but we must do it with a sense of humanity and an understanding of democracy.
All right, and we are thinking about those families at the border heading into the holidays as well. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.